I want to make a couple more videos referring to this diagram I made and get into some of the issues that I wanted to address. The first one is why the materialistic model. Um, why do we want to use the materialist model if, as I said, we don't really know that our senses are not being generated by some computer simulation or by a dreamer. Really, these are brain in the vat kind of examples. Why the materials? Well, what's the difference? And I was getting in this, but I didn't think I worded it particularly well in the last video because it wasn't my primary point either. But why choose the materialist model if these others, also will fit the experience? And I think the reason is that we have this model. We have the model of the cup as a material thing, even if it's computer generated. Right now, if it's computer generated, the world around us and our perceptions, we still have this model of the material mug. Why? Because one aspect of this generation is that it's very consistent. We have learned to have faith in laws of cause and effect and the other ramifications of a continuous reality. And again, when I say that, if you think about quantum theory, it's not really continuous. It's discrete at the lowest level. But there's the law of continuity still comes from, in that case, the conservation of energy. So that even though there's discrete events, there's always a conservation of energy, and that adds up to being an equivalent of continuity in a discrete universe. So we have these elements of consistency, and we've learned them from watching our perceptions. Now, the brain in the vat model, that we're in a dream or some matrix-like simulation, those are just coincidentally continuous. The whole element of dream metaphor, invokes the idea that, perhaps we could overcome the continuity. Like in the Matrix, perhaps we could get, superpowers. We could learn how to break the continuity of the universe. And that's what I was getting at when I mentioned that, the materialism doesn't distract us to these hopes and desires, that maybe just with the proper thought process we can hack the system or hack the dream, or those models motivate us to look for the discontinuity. Where a materialist model, we embrace this continuity and we use it to explore the universe further. What element of that we're in a dream motivates us to continue to look at, to investigate the world as it appears to be? At that point, you're trying to get past the appearances, because the appearances are such illusion that you want to look past them. And it's not that I don't think that's a good thing to try. I do think it's a good thing to try, but it has been tried, and really historically, let's say our pre-rational belief systems, or whatever you want to call them, we have spent thousands, if not tens of thousands of years in models like that, where God is not bound. This theistic model is not bound to continuity. God could make something appear out of nowhere. Whereas in our materialist model, we would wonder, well, if something appeared out of nowhere, what happens to the air that was there? And there'd be a huge shock. We like in good science fiction, if we do suspend our disbelief that there could be teleportation, then we ask about the material ramifications of it. But if we're in a dream or a computer simulation, there don't have to be material ramifications. So only a materialist model, and there are more than one way to set up a materialist model, but any model you would call materialist will continue to obey this idea of continuity and of anything that happens in this material world having material consequences. And that's what makes it a better model, because it's more consistent with the principles we've drawn from it. We have this world generated, and it's so consistent that every time we test it and look to see if it's behaving in regular fashions, even when we have issues of probabilistic phenomena, there's the patterns are knowable and deducible and can be characterized, um, you know, with mathematics, for example. So, the idea that the world really is materials is more consistent with that. And, I think it makes sense too, because let's say we were making a mistake. Let's say we really are in a computer generation and we assume that it's a material world, and so we're wrong. Well, I think investigating the material world and looking closely at our perceptions for what appears to be the case uh, is likely to be the most fruitful path by which we would discover that we are in a matrix. I mean, sometime we'll discover that there's some little glitch, or we will see that, and that theory, if it's true, will come down the pipe. And I don't see it the other way around. If we became convinced that we are in a matrix world, then in what way does that inspire you to study what appears to be the case? I don't think it does. So, with that male sound, I leave you. Cheers.